Welcome back, everybody. Rudy with Alpha Investments, and today we have to discuss the most sensitive, inappropriate, reckless, probably the dumbest thing a YouTuber could discuss on YouTube. And that is the dark, shady, not so shady, intricate world of trading card distribution. This video is going to be focused around the way Magic the Gathering cards are distributed. We're not going to hit too much on Pokemon Force Wheel or Final Fantasy. So, the very first thing we got to go into is, I did bring back Grooksax to help us out, because this video is probably going to get a little messy. It just is what it is, okay? So, since the dawn of Magic, since 93, there's been a war that's gone on. I mean a war. We're talking between players, stores, everybody. Distributors, wizards, WPN, and the war has gone on since Magic was created, okay? And that is the fact that how to distribute the cards to the public, okay? So we're going to go into it. I want to explain to you guys what I feel and what I have learned and seen over the years and how it actually works. My point of this video is not to point out to you guys, this is right, this is wrong. Because quite frankly, if you want my personal opinion, there is no solution to the best method to distribute cards. There isn't. Every method has pros and cons. Everything has a pendulum. You can swing, the harder you swing one direction, it damages the other direction. Rubber band theory, same thing. The harder you pull towards players, the more you hurt towards distributor stores. The more you pull towards stores, the more it hurts the players. So the purpose of this video is to disclose and discuss with you guys so you have a better open mind and understanding of what goes on. You're not going to like me any more or less, because again, the only person dumb enough to discuss a topic like this is someone who wants to stay on the good side of everybody. And you know that's Garbage Fire Investments. So without further ado, let's jump into it, okay? So we're going to start back at the beginning. Way at the beginning, first of all, you have to acknowledge one thing. Magic cards are distributed on two main methods. You can buy them from a distributor, or you can buy them direct from Wizards of the Coast. Okay? The war between this has gone on since 1993 Arabian Nights. Okay? It's gone on since the dawn of Magic. There is no solution. So, pros and cons. A, if Wizards ever chose to remove distributors and sell directly to stores, they incur substantial costs and different methods and customer service and shipping and claims and lost packages and damage. It's a lot to handle. So we're not going to get into different options. We're going to discuss today solely what actually goes on, not the what if. We're going to discuss the actual process, not what we think should be done. So we got to lay that out in this first 2 minutes of this video to make sure everybody understands what the direction of this video is, okay? It's not speculation. We don't want to say, this is better, this is worse. All right? Good. We all on the same page? Excellent. So, let's start off with this. WPN stores. The benefit of the WPN program is it gives Wizards stronger control, and they like to reward those type of stores for being in the tournament network and supporting their game and helping promote player growth in the base and blah, blah, blah. The benefit of that is by making some products exclusive to a WPN, for example, a From the Vault, or possibly Iconic Masters. By putting some products strictly WPN, it tightens the distribution chain. Now, the good news is it helps that particular tournament store that supports Wizards make more money. It increases their profit margin. It's almost like a thank you. It supports them and says, hey, you've been supporting us all year. Here's a thank you on a fat profit margin product to help your business out. It's a very generous, good thing to do. Now here's the negative side. By constraining and bottlenecking the marketplace, what you're doing is you're removing a substantial supply from over probably 80% of the stores and hobby stores, card stores, computer stores, comic book stores, video game stores, everything from around the country that sell your product, but now they can't get access to it. So it's not fair to those particular stores and people, and I am one of those people, so I cannot, my bias is going to be that obviously I like to get the products. So you have to understand that when filming this video, my bias is going to be I want the products. So that's one way to look at it. Now remember, when you bottleneck any product, anything, what happens is you squeeze the supply. You reduce the flow, the velocity, the speed at which that product flows through the public. By doing that, what's going to happen is the secondary market is going to put a premium on your box. Let's take a pause here, flashback. Eternal Masters. When the first wave of Eternal Masters came out and it went to the public, it was a very strict WPN-only product. What happened was the war went crazy. The market just fought and screamed because what happened was the market supply was so constrained, box prices spiked all the way to $250 to $300 a box. It was nasty. It was a messy, nasty time. So the good news is the WPN stores who had those products and had access to it made a lot of profit, and it was a good reward to those individuals. Okay? Now the bad news is the players and individuals around the country are now forced to pay over MSRP or very high numbers for products that they can't get anywhere else, so they have to go to this one particular store or order from select stores, which are now going to put a premium on it because they know it's rare. Now, the next thing, let's jump on over to the distributors. There's a couple things people need to understand. When a WPN-only exclusive product comes out, that means Wizards is going to do most of the distributing. Distributors will still get some of the product to actually send to WPN locations, but the supply and the restriction to the distributor is going to be very strong, reducing the distributor's profit substantially. Therefore, the distributors don't like WPN exclusive products just as much as most of the public doesn't like it, because everybody, it puts pressure on the market. And what happens? The war heats up and people get more and more angry. You guys get the idea. So it doesn't really help everybody except the WPN locations. So while it makes those people happy, which they deserve the reward, at the same time, it really beats up the public, the average player. Little Timmy, why is my box $300? It's not fair. It hurts everybody. The distributors are just, they don't make as much either. Distributors is just like you and me, just like a card store owner, just like WPN. When a special product comes out, the distributor looks forward to it because that's when they cash in just as much as a store owner does. Because distributors do not make millions of dollars, especially on regular mass-produced booster boxes. The margins on regular booster boxes, just like for stores, just like for online sellers, is very low. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. It's extremely low, you guys. So what happens is, when they get these special products, the distributor cashes in. Let me paint you guys a picture. So let's say Iconic Masters comes out. Let's say distributor A gets 4,000 booster boxes of Iconic Masters to distribute nationwide. Okay? So one of the 5 distributors gets 4,000 Iconic boxes. Now, under a standard distribution model, Wizards puts the trust in the ability of that distributor to handle that war on their own. Now, by what they do is the distributor pretty much sorts all the accounts they own on a spreadsheet, pretty much by sales volume, age of the account, relationship with the individual. You guys have to understand, that is a big part too. Not only is the dollar amount that you spend with the distributor and the length of your account important, but if they simply don't like you, you're going to have a hard time. Period. If you treat them bad, or if something happens, or you cancel a lot of orders, or you pretty much give them a hard time, that's going to be taken into consideration, because you're going to be what we like to call more of the high maintenance account. And when that happens, when the time to cash in, it's going to be factored. So that's something, it's kind of a non-tangible method also. It is part of the formula. Maybe not the main core component, but it is part of the formula. So, remember that. So if Iconic Masters, a distributor A gets 4,000 boxes, okay? No restrictions, distribute to anyone who's a licensed store with a brick and mortar B&M location. That's the restriction. You have to be approved on the Wizards list and actually have a real store with brick and mortar. The pictures, all that, I don't know, that's not the point of the video. So the point is, at that point in time, that distributor can move 4,000 booster boxes. Now, what actually usually happens is the distributor will probably move 3,000 booster boxes and sit on the remaining 1,000. In my opinion, this is something I don't know the real number. I estimate an average distributor will sit on between 10 or 20% of any particular rare specialty set. So if they get 4,000 boxes, let's say, or 5,000 or 3,000, a chunk of that is going to sit in case the product goes up or in case anything strange happens, and of course to handle damage or replacements. Any of the variables. It's nothing in particular. Now, a distributor on average on a specialty set, and this is also a Rudy speculation number, I estimate the distributor is going to make $20 a booster box. So if they sell Iconic Masters, Eternal Masters, Modern Masters wholesale for $140 a box, let's say, to the average store, I estimate, and this is something I don't know the answer to, or I don't know the number, I estimate the distributor is going to pay probably in the 120s from WotC. That's a guess. I have no idea if it's higher or lower. That's strictly a Rudy opinion. So, if the distributor sells 4,000 boxes and makes $20 a box, a distributor can clear, think about this, you guys, 4,000 times $20. $80,000 profit. So a distributor in 1 month can clean up. We're talking roulette table in Vegas, and the swoop comes by and just hammers everybody. That's what happens. So on a normal release like Ixalan or Hour of Devastation or Amonkhet, they're probably going to make a couple bucks a booster box, sometimes less, sometimes more. And then if they sit on a lot and the product doesn't move, they mark it down the cost and they sell at a loss. Specialty products are never sold at losses. Okay? So that's right out of the gate. I want you guys to understand, distributors want the ability to control how they sell the product. They want it just as much as you want it. Everybody, all the players, as much as I want it, because I'm not WPN. We're on the same boat in that category. The other boat on this big war that's raged forever is the fact that you have all the WPN stores that don't like that. They don't like the fact that distributors will allocate based on sales, length of account, and intangibles. They don't like the fact that regular stores that are you can own you can own a laundromat. Well, I guess it's not easy. It has to be a hobby store. I'm thinking Pokemon, sorry. I guess a laundromat wouldn't work. You can own any form of store, and then at the same time, as long as you're a hobby store and you can sell Magic, WPN stores don't feel it's fair that they get the same product when they're doing tournaments all night and everything, which I understand. You can't really blame them. But the problem is the side effect, the collateral damage of going WPN exclusive is a constrained market where at the end of the day, the buyer, the player, and the regular Magic player who comes to FNMs, they take the hit. They pay the premium price at the expense of the market's logistics. That's really all it is. So that's something that's very important to understand. And I think that's one thing a lot of people didn't know. I don't think that people realize that distributors actually don't like WPN exclusivity. I don't know if that's ever really been discussed or anything because it's a pain for them. It makes things difficult, and they get less product because Wizards is actually sending out a lot of WPN product. So it actually does make a difference. It really does. And the distributors, a lot of people feel distributors are kind of like, the employer-employee relationship, where both parties are always against each other. And that's the difference between a partnership, maybe like a relationship or even a personal relationship, versus an employer-employee relationship, or all of you out there have a bad personal relationship. It's more of like an adversary. You're not teams. You're not a teamwork. You're not working together. It's a battle back and forth. It's always trying to one-up each other. There's no sense of, hey, let me step in and help you. No, let me help you. That kind of communication isn't there. And that's very imperative when you deal with this kind of stuff. It's no different than a relationship I have with my goldfish, okay? Or I have with my robot. It's the same thing. Everything's the same concept and the same principle. It's just a matter of how it all gets together. So again, this war has been going on what's right, what's wrong, and how to distribute since the dawn of everything, you guys. So now, when you allow... So now when you pretty much don't have WPN, let's say that doesn't exist, and all the boxes are sent to distributors distribute on their own. It does create favoritism. It does create a lot of unbiased, unlevel playing field situations, which again, depending where you are on that totem pole, or how many distributors, or your relationship, or your dollar amount, or the size of your business, you can be treated very unfairly. It is not a fair playing. It's not a level system. Nothing in this world is a level playing field. And I think that's also something a lot of people to this day still have a hard time with, because Magic is no different. Things are not fair. The playing field is not level. And I think people have a hard time accepting things like that, that at the end of the day, hands down, God, I haven't done that in like 20 videos. Hands down, shit is not fair. And I think that's something that you have to acknowledge going into it. And you have to be able to discuss these things without escalating the conversation. You must be able to discuss without escalating, getting angry, and having a good, logical conversation. Just like we're having now. Now, again, most of you may be throwing things at the computer. You thumbs down 5 times. You thumbs down so many times, your computer's just blinking on and off. You've already left 4 comments saying, Rudy, you're still a scumbag. You are an illegal underground basement distributor. I don't know what you want to call it. But the thing is, everyone has its good and bad. There's no prime example to it. So I want to swoop back to the final thing here. When distributors are allowed to handle it all on their own, the one variable I haven't gotten to yet is the market price of the booster box tends to be more in line with actual demand and tends to be more in line with the actual market supply. Everything is more balanced because you're not manipulating the market. You're allowing the market to act more of a free market, pretty much find its own price point, stabilize itself at a quicker price. You're not going to have the swings as hard. Okay? And that's important. That's important because you have to remember, you don't want players overpaying for a product because it's WPN and then coming out, redoing a second wave release print run of Eternal Masters, and then you burn a lot of people. Whether you're burning the investor, the player, or the store who's sitting on the box, you don't want those people burned because that has forward carrying effects, and the actual force, it damages a lot more than people realize. And I think now a lot more people understand that, especially ever since the world famous Eternal Master situation where people got slaughtered. I mean, I know stores that were buying boxes for $220, $230, and they were selling them in their local store for individual packs, and they were selling the boxes for $300, and the stores lost thousands. You know, for me, it just, I didn't really get involved in it because obviously I wasn't WPN. I got a few boxes at release. I opened them and you guys saw the singles, but, when you have that kind of a bad taste, it makes players quit. It makes stores lose respect for Wizards. It makes stores lose respect for distributors. You don't want that. You don't want people feeling that way. And I don't know why that seems like a difficult thing to understand. I don't think not enough conversation of that takes place. It's important. We can't end the war on this, okay? It's never going to happen. There's no thing where I can say, Wizards, even though you don't like me, you don't watch my videos, Wizards, there's no way for you to end the war. You can't say, Rudy's right. We need to do something. Everybody line up. There's no way for us to do anything to fix the problem. You can do a hybrid system. Maybe WPN get more or distributors get half and half. There's no solution. If there was an easy solution, they would have done it 10 years ago. The problem is there isn't. No matter which path you take, there are pros and cons as with the real world. No matter what it is. I don't care what religion, politics, hobby, school, car, brand, food, no matter what you're into, there is no perfection. Everything has pretty much divides in different perspectives. But this video is very important to discuss that. Number one, I don't think people knew that distributors don't like exclusivity on WPN. That was the first main point of this video. I don't think most people knew that. Number two, I don't think people realize that distributors cash in when the special product comes, just like the store owners do. It's the same thing. So they get excited just as much as everybody else does. That's their payday. That's the same concept. So that's also very important for everybody. And the players, at the end of the day, all of this only matters because the players want to purchase the boxes. They want to spend the money. They still stay in the war. They go to battle for every set. They throw their money at the screen, and they still want to buy it. So, Rudy with Alpha Investments, I wanted to break that down. Okay, those are the two main things versus WPN distribution and standard distributor allocation. Okay, that's all we focused on in this whole 20-minute video was those two basic things. And this was focused around a specialty set like Iconic Masters. Okay, we don't want to discuss the basic, when Ixalan comes out, when Unstable comes out, when pretty much the Hour of Devastation. I don't want to focus, that's a whole nother discussion because it's a non-limited product. It's an endless reprinting, reoccurring product that gets refilled in the system. And that's a whole nother video to discuss release, allocation period, when the cage is lifted. That's a whole nother process for a basic set compared to a specialty product. A lot of people wonder, well, God, how come when Ixalan comes out, all the cards are expensive. And then, like, after a month or two, everything just tanks like a brick. And then along the way, it drops, but then after a while, it just dissolves in nothing. There's systems of all this stuff in place. There's a reason there's always a race to the bottom. There's a reason why everybody tries to unload singles as quick as possible. Because they know everything's on a timer, blah, blah, blah. That's for another video, another time. So more importantly, I hope you guys enjoyed this perspective and different understanding and discussion of what actually goes on with the distributors and how they handle an iconic master type set and why it's done that way. Okay, and remember, distributors also push back at Wizards because they want, the freedom to sell their own product. They want to get more of a certain product. You guys don't think when Commander 2016 last year skyrocketed, I got my couple hundred boxes of Commander 2016 and I sold them to patrons for $99.99 on 2016, and now they're like $300 a Commander set? You don't think the distributors wanted to get thousands more cases and sell them all? Of course they did. And I don't know why people tend to look at the distributor as like the enemy. I mean, yes, they do a lot of things wrong. They get some things right, but we all do. So that's the message I'm going to leave everybody with. It's just, I don't feel everybody should feel like everyone's against each other. It shouldn't be player versus the store versus the WPN store, both stores versus the distributor versus Wizards. That's the problem right there. Everything is a Mortal Kombat versus, but at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. Everybody wants every new product at the cheapest price possible, and the only way to do that is to flow a new product through the system and logistically make the market absorb it. So Rudy with Alpha Investments, tell me what everyone thinks. How'd I do? Did I ramble so much you've hit thumbs down 45 times, you've unsubscribed 5 times, and you're outside digging a hole and being a carrot? I don't know. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. The Holy War will continue. It always will. And this is going to be a conversation and a problem that's going to go on for the next, literally until Magic dies and God knows 50 years or 100 years or next week. Who knows? You guys, as always, have a fantastic day. May your taco always remain floppy.